Thanks for joining Sales with Suli, a mom of three who spent the last 12 summers knocking doors. Welcome to my podcast, where I talk about all things women, the ups and downs of my journey, and what it takes to find success on and off the doors. Enjoy this episode. Welcome back, friends. Per a ton of you asking me a million times, you guys are going to be super stoked that we finally have the myth and the legend behind all of my success behind closed doors is Mr. Walter Hector Zink is going to be on today's episode. A lot of people are always like, so is his name Hector? Is his name Walter? So I don't know why your mom decided to. Why is Hector your middle name?
My dad's, I think it's his uncle. That's his first name. So
got it. So those of you guys, when I'm saying like Hector or whatnot, it's more of like just a pet name for me, but it's his real name. Well, his middle name. But he prefers everyone else to call him Walter. Name. Oh, call you pet name? Hi, pet name. Anyhow, I'm kind of stoked to have him answer some of the questions that a lot of you guys kind of want to know. And it's just kind of funny because those of you guys in our circle knows that the only reason that I'm able to have success and get a lot of like the systems and things in place, like with our kids, even with this podcast, with anything, like you better believe that Walter has a hand in it. But I put out a post and just several people have like texted me and always just like asked in person, like, hey, let's have Walter like answer some of these questions. And so some of the questions that I'm going to have him answer are basically things that some of you women and men out there want to know. But first off, hun, we're going to get a lot of that on this episode. Tell us what it was like your first summer being married to me and being in the door-to-door space. Like, tell us your first experience. Like, kind of, was it a shock or not? Or
well, it was a first.
You got to talk into the mic, hun.
It was a first because, or a first year in our marriage, and it was also the first year in door-to-door, so we were taking in everything.
Wait, that was my first year in door-to-door?
No, us together.
Oh, okay.
So I think that was your second or third year.
That was my third summer.
Yeah. And our first year, we went through a lot of ups and downs, mainly because I also didn't know what the door-to-door industry was like. All I thought was, okay, people sell knives to people, and that's it. But yeah, I think it was only a month after we got married, we went and did preseason together.
Where did we go do preseason?
We went to San Jose.
Oh, I don't even remember.
We spent a month in San Jose, and we were still riding the high of our honeymoon. And then a month later, your grandma passes. And so there was a quick low for us right there. But yeah, all throughout the summer we had the ups and downs, and comparing it to now, I say it's more refined.
Why do you say that?
Well, because
we have more refined up and downs. Is what you're saying?
No, I think the challenges that come to us, I think it's easier to roll with the punches because we know what to expect.
I agree. We just always expect the worst, right?
Yeah, and we always plan, our goals before the start of the summer. And, yeah, we just, whatever comes our way, we just make sure we're communicating together and getting through it.
I love it. Another question someone asked was, how have you been able to make things work with your own goals? Like with me being in door-to-door and me having like a super red personality and your super dominant personality and your super don't have a dominant personality. Yeah. How have you been able to just keep your own identity or like your own goals even while watching me like do my thing?
I think a lot of that was the communication. I think it was in 2013. I started in the pipe fitters apprenticeship. It was a 5-year apprenticeship, and I made it through after 8 years.
Because of this job.
And only reason being is because we communicated to each other that, okay, I'll take the sacrifice on getting to my journeyman status and finishing out my 5 years a little later so that we could accomplish more things with what you were doing in the industry of sales.
Yeah, so just to like go off of that, so in door-to-door sales, people try to become team leaders, regionals, VPs, or CEOs, or whatever the heck. And so the industry that Walter was in was a pipe fitting industry. So he just did a lot of things with like his hands. And so the highest tier that you can get into was, so an apprenticeship, he liked to tell me it's called a water boy. And then journeyman, which would be an example to what?
Yeah, journeyman would be the ultimate
goal.
Yeah.
Yes. So Walter was consistently giving up that ultimate goal for me. Why?
Because every summer we'd follow you around. And so I'd be losing out on all that work during the summer months, which were 4 months. And that was a lot of hours that I could have been putting into my job where that was required for me to acquire the journeyman status. So,
but were you okay? Like, I mean, obviously you did it. Like, were you okay with it? Like, what was?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we communicated that the best thing for us was to move forward with, you doing sales, because I didn't make as much money as you do in sales. So if we wanted to, get the goals and the investments and things that we wanted to get to, it was going to be through you.
Yeah. I love that you just brought up a lot about communicating. I know several people who are married in the space, or there'll be like one spouse who isn't knocking and one who is. And then there's plenty of people who they have both their spouses knocking. And I feel like more often than not, I hear and see it's going to be the men who are going to be knocking, the women are at home. And then there's just always like a lot of contention because they're not seeing that spouse as often, or maybe they're not understanding their spouse. So like,
and that's why we got divorced so many times in the first year.
Like literally, I think I probably like texted him that I was going to divorce him probably like every other day. Like,
and then the ultimate, you packed up all your clothes and my clothes and forced me to leave.
And where did you go?
I drove to the gas station down the street.
Okay. And not even like 10 seconds later, I'm like finding an excuse for his behind to like get the hell back. And like, I would definitely die. So how did you, what were some things that you would do to just be able to like help with like, obviously you saw a lot of the anxiety and the stresses that come in door to door. You just knew the dominant personality that I am and kind of all the things that I'm doing in the door-to-door space when we were super young, and now that we've been in the game a little bit longer. What are some things that you're doing as a spouse who isn't on the doors to be able to help provide value, or to be able to bring down some of this anxiety that comes from being in door-to-door?
Well, yeah, I do understand there's a lot of stress, and I've seen it in you a lot of the time too, while you're out there running a team or just trying to, do your best in getting a sale. So I think the only thing I could do, because I couldn't really understand what you were going through, because I never really did it, was to make sure that the home was in order as best as I could. Making sure Anarisa's hair looked nice. Making sure the kids didn't look poor while we were going out.
So dead.
Just making sure everything was taken care of as far as the bills, and just doing what I could so that when you did come home after a hard day, if, you know, you were having a rough day, at least you knew that the home was a place you could go to and find some peace.
Yeah. And it's true. Like that was like the biggest safe haven for me. Like I had to put no front on. Like when I would come home, I could finally like relax and breathe and just no expectations. But Walter also downplays himself. He actually does a ton. Like in pest control, they have they kept track of like our customer base and things like that. But there would always be some accounts like missing. And so Walter would, when I was in pest control, he would create spreadsheets and kept track of every single customer and was like, hey, you didn't get paid on this customer. You didn't get paid this. Like how often in a big company do you just expect them to just pay you properly and pay you for every single account? But with more and more of us reps getting into this space, like we got to be able to take care, you know, and double check or triple check. And I always felt safe and I always felt good in everything that I was doing because Walter was that double and triple check for me. And more often than not, we'd always be missing accounts every single paycheck. He's like, oh, you didn't get paid for this person. You didn't get paid for this person. And had I not had Walter, there would be like several thousands of dollars, you know, that these big companies who don't even like realize or anything and don't even need those thousands of dollars, it would make like all the difference for us. And even like shooting this episode or all the dreams that I'm wanting to do, like he's literally the backbone and getting them like uploaded, like knows this kid's schedule like better than mine. If I'm not explaining what Walter does, like this episode would be 5 minutes long because he is not a talker. And I think our opposites just make this go well. And I was telling someone in the last episode, when they were asking what city that I was knocking in a specific state, I'm like, Walter he sees door to door as like a sport. Like to him, he knows which reps and which teams and which whatnot, like their revenue, their stats, their sales. And because of him, it just made me feel just a little bit more confident in knowing that I wasn't going to get screwed on my money or my accounts or anything like that. So thanks for continuing to do that for me, hun. Some questions. This one is a newlywed who asked. She asked, what made him see you? What feelings he had when you were away, and how did you get through the summer season?
I don't think we had very many summers apart.
No.
Outside of the 2 years that I worked doing the solar construction out in the desert, during that time I stayed real busy, and so I couldn't really, I guess, think about you being gone because I was just working so many hours out of the day and had no time to think. So, yeah, I think that helped me not kind of look down that we were separated, but like we were still just working towards our goals for our family, because I think we only had Annalisa at that time.
Yeah, things were a lot easier with Annalisa at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, we also had a good support group with your aunts that were there, your cousins.
Yeah.
To help us with the stress of both of us being away from home.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that's the biggest key factor for us. We had the flexibility to be able to have Walter get up and come with me always. And a lot of people don't have that financial freedom or that flexibility. And I know a lot of people with like kids right now, male or female, they're just like, how are you guys making the dynamics work? Like, how are you guys dealing with like your kids? And I think we've kind of understood, or we know that if we're both doing our part, where you're handling the kids when I'm at work, or if I'm at home, that there's just no gender roles. Like I feel like we figured out what works for us and we just make it work, right?
Yeah. Outside of diapers, I think I changed all the diapers.
You did not change all the diapers. When we were first married, you couldn't even change a diaper. Like, outside of, okay, we'll agree on that for Bobby Ray. like that's it, but not on the other two. Bobby Ray is definitely your kid, and you can continue to change his diapers. Like, totally fine. But, okay, no. What advice would you give to newlyweds who are in door to door for the summer season? Like, what advice would you have? And I think this girl who asked me, like, she's in door to door, but her husband isn't yet. She wants to get her husband into door to door, but yeah.
To do the spouse role or to?
No, for both of them to do it. Like, just what advice would you give to newlyweds who are getting into door to door? Yeah.
I would say don't be afraid to communicate, because I think there were times where I probably did get frustrated just staying at home with the kids and not being able to do my thing with my work, that I held a lot of that in and didn't talk to you about it, and so it just built up, and obviously I exploded, and it never works to explode with you because you explode back even more. But I just think knowing what you want to accomplish together, if you're going out there to have a plan, and I mean, when things get rough, just try to communicate with each other.
I think that's like a lot of the key indicators, or like the key to success. I feel like with marriage, on and off the doors is a big thing, is just being able to communicate. But tell us about when you tried actually knocking doors. How was that experience?
Well, yeah, when we went out together, we already knew I wasn't going to do sales. And because I like to just do my own thing and not deal with people at the doors. But I did give it a shot for like an hour.
5 seconds.
And once they told me that they were having dinner, and I just told them that, okay, I'll come back later. I just knew it wasn't for me. I wasn't going to be the one to fight them after every objection that they threw at me.
Yeah, you definitely do a lot better in the customer service department for sure. And I'm over here like, okay, I can't even deal with them after the sale. This next question, definitely a guy asked this one, but they asked, how much does he get paid?
A good amount. I think you can answer that question. I mean, I don't get a W-2 or anything like that. If people are asking about that, I don't get a monthly allowance or anything like that. I just, whenever I need something, I'll let you know.
Well, he's definitely this guy. He's I think what they mean with that. So I have an LLC, and a tax hack is Walter on paper is considered an employee. So technically he pays himself as he transfers money from like the business account to himself. And I'm like, oh, that's how much you paid yourself, huh? So there's that. It's kind of whatever he wants, right?
Yeah, I really don't use it to my advantage, though. You would like me to buy more clothes.
And I'm over here like, I'll wear the same slippers like every single day, and I'm totally fine with it. Okay. Another question. How do you deal with the stresses that comes with Suli in door to door when it comes to her being on the road all the time?
I think we sort of answered this earlier when, you do deal with a lot of stress out there, having to run a team and making sure everyone's good with their pay. And I just try to do my best in making sure that the home is in order, that the kids are enrolled in some kind of activity, or that they're doing well in school, just taking the stress away from you in that department.
You guys thriving at home is me thriving not at home.
I've done the try to pick you up in rough times too, but I just don't really understand because I've never lived the door-to-door life. So I just try to stay away from giving you any advice in the door-to-door space. I don't think that helps.
Just because your expertise is not door to door, but your expertise is in a lot of other things.
Yeah.
It's true. I definitely have the people that I reach out to when it comes to work experience. And I think that that's something that has like helped us, is the simple fact that Walter understands that door to door is like a different beast. He sees the stresses and all that, and he knows who I can go to about work and some of the fixes. And so with him taking care of a lot of things at home, it helps me to not worry about those things while I'm on the road. But last question, what's some advice that you would give to men in the door-to-door space or not in the door-to-door space who are dating or marrying a woman with just ambitions, or just someone who's just has so many like goals, or a woman who just wants to like accomplish everything? Like, what is some advice that you would give?
Be her biggest cheerleader.
Do you think you're my biggest cheerleader? I'm
a quiet cheerleader, but I'm up there.
Walter is definitely my biggest fan. I just love how much you love me. The simple fact of how much you talk me up, how much you cheer me on, through text or calls or things like that. Like, men just do not understand like how important it is for women to be able to hear those things, to be complimented in private and in public, to be patted on the back. And I thank you for doing a lot of those things for me. Like,
well, I'd rather have that job than yours.
Yeah, we both know that Walter does a better job with taking care of the kids in the home life than I would. So I think we will both continue in our same roles that we are for now until we figure things out. But for those of you people in door to door who are married or newlyweds and are questioning whether one spouse should be in door to door, like, do it. Don't be afraid to try new things. And just like Walter says, like, the more we communicate, the better. But I think we also know our limits too. Like, we kind of know when to give each other space. We kind of know when the other person just needs to not be like criticized, or when they do need like a pick me up. And a lot of times Walter will do a lot of that, and it just has nothing to do with work. So those of you out there who continue to cheer on Walter and cheer me on and continue to say that he's the backbone of this relationship, just like in this episode, he definitely is the quiet keeper. He's not going anywhere, and I'm not going to let him. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. If I've added any kind of value to your thoughts on knocking doors, please share this podcast with another female rep. Until next time, know that you are capable, you are valued, and most importantly, you are enough.